Facebook Live community. I'm on 10 seconds early. Our Christian Minson here, Rythmia Life Advancement Center. If you're joining on the recording, skip to about 4 or 5 minutes in and you'll start with the content. Otherwise, right now we're saying hi to anybody who's joining on. So let's find out who's going to join on today. Here and nice and cloudy, warm and cloudy. Guanacaste, Costa Rica. The clouds make it a little bit more bearable. 9 people on, 11 people on. Justin, Jerry. Hey, Jerry Henge. Justin, welcome. As you join on, say hi to me. Tell me where you're from. Start giving me some likes and all that kind of stuff. Karen Brody Runner, hello. Story, hello. Judith, hey, you're back. Welcome. Thank you. Sorry if you thought I was on last week. I think JJ, hey Regine, hey Jerry from California. Were you in LA? I think I'll be in LA over the Christmas break. Regine, of course, is in Alberta. Welcome, our Christian Minson here, Breathwork edition of Rythmia Live. As we say our hellos, get people on. Oops. Angel from Costa Rica now, huh? Linda from Chicago. Kasturi from India, nice. Gina, Alabama. That's where I was born. Sweet home, Alabama, yeah. Barbara, North Carolina. Jerry, yep, LA. Linda from Tampa. Sean from Northwest Pennsylvania. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, the crowd is increasing. We had some good numbers lately. Showing more interest these days, it looks like. Let's see if we can get up to, only 2 minutes in. We're already up to 40 people. Let's see if we can break the record. Break 50. Can we break 50? Let's see, Randy, hello. Douglas, be there in 2 weeks. Good. Sandra, hello from Wisconsin. 43, yeah, likes, hearts. Give me some love there, electronic style. There we go. Thank you, thank you. Oh, we broke 50. All right. Can we break 60? We're only 2 minutes and 30 seconds in. All right. Oh, we went back down now. Coming back up. Love playing this game, seeing how many we can get in. Leslie from Kentucky, Tom from Orlando. Justin is really still going to go breathwork once you leave. Yes, there's still going to be breathwork here. Aisha Paula joined. Beautiful. Hello. And Merlinda, welcome, welcome. A whole bunch of others. 56 people. 3 minutes in. We got 1 more minute. See, yeah, Nadia, hello. Maya, Nilo, hello. And so a lot of familiar people, a lot of people have been to Rythmia before, a lot of people, my clients elsewhere. Michelle, hair, yeah. What do you think of the hair? Hair or no hair? Give me a thumbs up if you like the hair. Give me a meanie face if you want the no hair. A lot from the Pania, hello Nina, and Angela Willow Christensen, hello. And here we go. We got 15 seconds left. 59. Can we break? Oh, no, 55. Getting crowded in here. Yep, Randy. Yeah, standing room only. All right. Well, here we are, 4 minutes in, and we're close to 60 people. This may be the record here. 58. So welcome, everyone. Let's get started. My name is R. Christian Minson, outgoing director of the Breathwork program here at Rythmia Life Advancement Center in Guanacaste, Costa Rica, where it's always warm. It might not be sunny, but it's warm always. And here I am today speaking on the topic, the power of prana, one of my favorite subjects. We'll talk about prana, the life force energy, and how to unlock its power. And since this is Breathwork edition, the hint there is the breath has something to do with it. So welcome everyone as we're getting on, more people here. one person says here. Nina, you live next to Rythmia. Thanks, Maya. Thanks, Michelle. Juliet, first time seeing you live. Excellent. What a treat that is, eh? Welcome, welcome. All right. All right. I'm getting good compliments on hair versus no hair. Let's see, some announcements first. Let's just say I'm the outgoing breathwork director here, meaning my days are limited. I will be officially leaving Rythmia January 12th. I think January 11th will be my last day. On to broader horizons there. It's been a wild ride. Enjoyed every minute of it, and have fulfilled my mission in life to a great degree, being here, helping people in mass quantities to achieve massive transformation, life balance, life reset, which is all that Rythmia is about here. We are here to give people the miracle of a new life. And hi, Johnny. Dave, hey, Dave is here right now, and he's on. Good for you. Dandy, hello. So outgoing director. I'm a transformational breath facilitator, senior trainer with the Transformational Breath Foundation, former monk for 10 years of my life in the meditative order of Paramahansa Yogananda, speaker, author, and your internet catalyst for transformation. So welcome today. The power of prana is our subject, looking at our life force energy, and such an important topic because there is this thing called prana, which is the energy of life itself, and that energy is manipulatable. We have the power to harness that. That is our power, our energy. So this is really what the important thing is. If you want to lead a life that goes in any direction of your choosing, then you're going to want to learn how to control, I don't really like that word control. I usually I liken when we talk about prana and managing that energy, I usually use the analogy of a surfer. If you think about the ocean waves coming in, the waves are the prana, the waves are the power. All right, have you ever tried to control an ocean wave? Sit there and try to make it stop. Right, that wave's just going to bowl you over. So it's not really, we're not talking about controlling this energy, but more like a surfer can harness that energy. In other words, they get in that pocket and they ride the wave down, and then life and times can be fun, can be enjoyable, can be exciting. So this is really what we're talking about. When we're talking about prana, we're looking at how we can harness that power. And let's say hi. What's oh no, Karen? Gotta get probably that I'm leaving. Be the 12th, hopefully. Yeah, hopefully we can say goodbye there, Justin, Johnny. You've given a lot. Thanks. Appreciate that too. Let it be. It's been a new meeting because I love it. We got, by the way, we have the guitar here today, just in case we got time for a little shindig at the end. And so what is prana? Prana is a Sanskrit word for life force energy. So this is the energy of life, the energy that has brought us into existence. If you could almost say it's like particleized spirit. Like our spirit is made of this life force energy, or prana. And it's the energy that has made us able to move, to be sentient, to actually think, to feel, to have emotions and feelings. So prana is that thing that affects us on all levels of our being: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual dimensions of our being. Prana enlivens us to have those dimensions. And so when we talk about prana, we're looking at what it can do for us. And and kind of how we can access it. So how we access it is basically breath work. Breath is the key to all these dimensions. Breath, I say, is the confluence of all these dimensions of our being. So as we learn to work with the breath, that's how we essentially harness this life force energy, this prana. And talk about how, what kind of benefits that really gives us. So, why is breath the vehicle? Well, breath is oxygen. So the main element we're taking in is oxygen. Oxygen, well, let's go back to that life force energy. The prana, that life force energy is what we consume in everything that we take in. So we're distilling this life force energy, whether it's the food we eat, the liquids we drink, the air we breathe. So we may eat food and think we're breaking it down into proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, all that. But finer than that is the prana, the life force energy. And that's why it's so important to eat good living foods rather than denatured packaged foods and such. Because those living foods actually have life in it, that life force energy. The other stuff, you can put it in your mouth all day long, but it's really just dead. It's stuff to chew on, but it isn't living. So the foods we eat, the fluids we drink, and the air we breathe, it just so happens that oxygen it carries prana in the most abundance, and it seems easiest to distill from the oxygen that we breathe. So we really most efficiently take in the prana through the mechanism of breathing. There is another way that supersedes that, and that's to take that energy in direct. And I mentioned that I was a monk for 10 years. That's essentially what we were practicing in our meditation techniques, learning how to rein in, how to align with that life force energy so that you could get it in direct download, then thereby not even having to consume anything. Because this is the confluence, and the breath affects our being at these multiple dimensions. And can we follow you on Instagram? Yes, you can, Angela. And that's R. Christian Minson. R. Christian Minson, and my website's breathflow.com if you want to look for the flow of the breath. So physically, here we go. So with each breath we take, we're taking in oxygen. Oxygen is our number one energy source, right? Every cell operates on oxygen. That's really oxygen and fuel, whatever. And in the mitochondria of the cells, to get really specific, oxygen is added, fuel is added in the form of whatever we've eaten to break down into that fuel, and it's burned. It is combusted to create ATP, which is the energy that drives the cell. This is the same way if you think of a car engine, a combustion engine. There's a piston, a chamber, and the piston goes in and out. Fuel gets squirted in that piston, and oxygen, air, gets squirted in. You can put in as much fuel as you want. If you don't put any oxygen in, that piston is not going to combust. The spark plug makes a spark, but there's no oxygen. There's no way for that fuel to burn. If the oxygen isn't set right, if there's a little bit of oxygen, it will burn a little bit of fuel, but most of it will be wasted. So there has to be this balance of fuel and oxygen. So when oxygen is at optimal levels, all the fuel that gets squirted in that piston ignites, the oxygen burns it up, and that creates the motion, which makes your car drive. So this is the same way with the cell. If you've got a lot of fuel there, a lot of the elements of life, but you don't have much oxygen, you can't burn all that fuel. And the cell, even though it's got a lot of fuel, will perform sluggishly because that fuel can't be used. So part of the breath work is to really learn how to consume the most oxygen that we can in a gentle and efficient manner. So when I talk about breathing, I talk about three basic words to define the breathwork technique: full, free, and flow. Full, free, flow. Full, then, is learning how to breathe fully. Now, you may be saying, well, I breathe all the time, and I don't get all this extra energy and all that. And I would say that that's because most of us breathe in a compromised fashion, meaning we, by and large, across the board, I see people breathe about 20% or less of the capacity that they have with each breath we take. So we're chronically shallow breathers, or often we'll find, you ever find yourself sitting around thinking or at the computer intensely, and all of a sudden you find yourself not breathing at all. So this is, where when you're not breathing, you're suspending yourself from life, metaphorically and literally. Literally, you are suspending that process of life, which is breath, the movement of the breath. So physically, as we learn to get more oxygen in, we'll generally feel more energized. Putting more oxygen energy in means that we have more physical energy to work with. We can burn more of that fuel, and the cells can operate more efficiently. This gives us more physical capacity. Oxygen also, our breath and the oxygen in it helps us to detox the body. Did you know that the body is, or the breath is responsible for about 80% of the toxins that we release from our body? I mean, we have our elimination system to release toxins. We have our pores will sweat out toxins, but the vast majority of toxins that we process during the day comes through our breath. Another interesting aspect of breathing when it comes to detoxification. So there's two circulatory systems in our body. There's the cardiovascular system, pumps blood all through our body, and then there's the lymph system, which pumps lymph, which is the system for getting the garbage out. So toxins get dumped into the lymph system. The lymph then moves those toxins out to the liver and kidneys and goes. Now, the circulatory system, the cardiovascular system, has a pump, commonly known as the heart, right? We know that the heart beats, and that pumps. Every beat is like a squeezing. It pumps that blood through the system. Now, it was previously thought that the lymph system didn't have a pump. That the only way that the lymph moves is basically through movement. And we move, and the lymph ducts have these little flaps that, the lymph moves, and then it can't, it's like a backwash protector. It can't go backwards. So it goes forward, and then the ducts close and keeps moving. But a scientist named West, around 1991, discovered that indeed the lymph system does have a pump. And you know what that pump is? It's the diaphragm. It's the diaphragm, which is our breathing muscle. So what he discovered was through deep diaphragmatic breathing, you could increase the detoxing in your body by up to 15 times. So this is really and why is that? Because this diaphragm is a pump. What is found, about 60% of the lymph nodes in your body are housed around the organs. And so with good, vigorous diaphragmatic breathing, you're actually massaging those lymph nodes to get that lymph moving, and you can detox a lot better. And now, why is this important? Because it's the toxins in your system that make you sick, that make you don't feel well. Imagine your system is like a garbage route, and the garbage men the garbage men choose not to pick up the garbage, what's going to happen after a while? Just imagine that week after week they're on strike and they don't pick up that garbage. Well, it's gonna build up, right? And they're gonna get flies, bugs, rats, disease. All that stuff is gonna as the garbage putrefies. Well, imagine that's exactly what's happening in your body. If you're not processing those toxins out, they're building up. They're creating a toxic environment internally, and that compromises your body's ability to heal itself. It compromises your immune system, gets weak, and then we invite disease and other yucky conditions. Another aspect of that is that there's a class of diseases known as anaerobic disease. And what is that? That means a disease that thrives in the absence of oxygen. Can anybody out there guess what the number one anaerobic disease is? Let's see, while I'm saying Jerry, hello. Randy, believe it can help. Meditation. Diane was talking about, can it fix a tendon tear? It can't hurt, but I wouldn't say breath work alone is going to heal a tendon tear. Christian, you're over 100 people. Oh wow, look at that. How about that? Thanks for saying it. So this is a new record. I've done this a lot through my addiction. What are you talking about there, Rick? So cancer, all right, Sean answered that. Yes, cancer is the number one anaerobic disease, meaning the cancer thrives when oxygen is absent. How is oxygen absent in your system? Well, imagine you're breathing 20% of the capacity that you should be breathing, and it's like, imagine that your body is like the U.S. territories back when we started migrating west. There were major cities, major places where it's populated, and there were a lot of outposts. Well, imagine that, our army marched across marched west, a good population stayed in the major areas, but in the outposts, you didn't have a whole lot of troops. And so if some enemies came, they could be overrun. So imagine in your body, if you're not getting enough oxygen, your body may relegate that oxygen to the major areas that need help. But then there's all these outposts of your body that aren't getting enough oxygen. And this is where then cancer can start to take hold. The simple solution, the number one way you can prevent cancer naturally is to make sure that you're breathing regularly, deeply, fully, regularly on a daily basis. And so this is what, not only is breathwork designed to help give us a cathartic experience and open our consciousness to different ideas and things, but it's actually helping us to learn how to breathe better so that we live life on a daily basis a lot better. This is the goal, more than the momentary experience of whatever comes up, whatever fantastical things happen during breath work. Ooh, 111 now. We have 111. It is the sustained health of your body, mind, and heart, and ultimately soul that is the goal here. At least the goal as I am presenting it. All right, let's see. Candida, no, but it was cancer. Jessica. Rebecca Rice is watching. Thanks. Petra, hi there. Kevin Peterson's on. Juliet, I feel emotionally numb. I can't wait to visit Rythmia in a couple weeks. Your last hope. Many people have said that Rythmia is their last hope, and all of them go away recognizing that they were glad that they came here because the last hope worked. It's pretty amazing, really, how many people have really felt they're at the end of the rope. They get here, and everything changes. It's a powerful program. Of course, no small part is the breath work, and that's what we're talking about here. So these are kind of some of the physical benefits. More energy, better detoxing. Another interesting aspect of oxygenating the body is that we sleep better. It tends to balance our sleep cycle. So if you're a little anxious and tense a lot, if you find yourself waking up a lot at night, sleep apnea, I've often had people do a breath session, an evening breath session, and then report the next day that they had the best sleep of their lives, that they normally can't sleep through the night, and this time they actually were able to stay asleep. So all those physical benefits and more are available to you as we learn to oxygenate the body, to pranify the body, to take that prana, that life force energy, and process more of it. So we're looking for full breaths, nice continuous full breath. Now, the next dimension of the breath is, can you show us how to do the breathe work? Are you coming to Rythmia there, David? Because you will get to see how it's done there. Many miracles from you, Rythmia, Sandra, nice. So the next dimension is the emotional, mental dimension. And the breath and our emotions have an interesting relationship. In fact, every emotion that we have has a corresponding breath pattern, and we do a form, sort of half science, half art of reading people's breathing, called breath analysis or breath assessment. That we look at the way people breathe and can tell things about what's going on, or what you're holding on to, what kind of things are up for you. And the emotional dimension really is, in essence, say the emotions that we tend not to like, fear, anxiety, stress, all that, tend to come with a shallower, more rapid breath, activates the fight or flight brain, or we find ourselves holding our breath and activate that. So on the flip side, the emotions that we really enjoy, peace, love, harmony, joy, those come generally with a deeper, relaxed, and more fluid breath pattern. So this is exactly what we're striving to emulate when we do this breath technique. A deep, full breath, a nice and relaxed breath, and a continuous fluid breath, so that it can be, so that we can induce those feelings. So get this, just as our emotions cause our breath to shift and change, either shallow, rapid, or deeper, the reverse is true. Our breath can cause us to go into different emotional states. And this is significant because if you're feeling chronic stress, chronic anxiety, chronic disillusionment, I would go first to looking at, how are you breathing? What kind of breath pattern have you habituated yourself to? And likely you're breathing shallow, you're holding your breath unconsciously, and this is inducing these feelings. It's inducing these emotions that aren't comfortable. So what's great then is you can use that to your advantage by saying, okay, well, the type of breathing that induces the positive emotions is full, free-flowing breath, right? So we start to breathe in this way, and it neutralizes some of these more negative emotional patterns, and it starts to bring about those feelings of peace, of well-being, of health and happiness. So what do you think about the side effects happening during breathwork sessions, the buzzing, numbness, the loss of cause? How do you explain those? What do you suggest doing when it happens? How I explain that is it's all the same thing. It's all you moving energy. Karen, so good to see you. Thank you. Let's see. So I'll answer that. It's all moving energy. Energy that's stagnant, that's locked up in our body. The breath work sort of loosens, shakes it loose, brings it to the surface. As it brings it to the surface, we experience the signature of that energy, either the physical signature or the emotional signature. And so sometimes, you might get buzzing, you might get tingling, you might get what they call the lobster claws, or tetany is the technical term, where your joints lock up. All part of the process of clearing out and balancing your energy. So if it happens, it means you're doing things right, that you are you are starting to clear that energy. So what to do when that happens? Keep doing more of what you're doing. Basically, keep breathing in this full, free-flowing pattern. If if it gets too intense, we have a technique called toning to release the energy using a vocalized sound. And you channel that energy through the sound. You can move your body, shake your hands, pound on the ground. So the movement, the sound, and ultimately the breath are our God-given tools to help move most of the energy. If we were to employ those things alone, 95% of the ailments that we suffer from would be non-existent, and we wouldn't have to go to other extreme measures of getting ourselves back on track. So our emotions sometimes influenced by the state of stagnation in the lymphoid system, and chakra balancing help flow those energies through it. Yes, I would say so. Think again, toxins basically irritate the nerve centers. That's why, for instance, the sexual nerves, people eat a lot of sugar, a lot of stimulating foods and all that. It can exacerbate the nerves, and it can give you then this stronger, what would you say, just irritation of those nerves. So you feel like you got to do something. So if you're on edge a lot, if you're just feeling unsettled, oftentimes those toxins, if we can clear those toxins, they won't be in there continually making those nerves fire and creating that upset sensation. So this is why it's so important to have a clean diet, a good exercise routine to keep ourselves cleared out. So the toxins definitely do affect our emotional states there, Tyler. Zinlin, hello. Randy, is one's prana damageable by emotion? Is able to be restored to health, or is it always whole and we just got caught up in emotion? I'm going to say it's always whole. We can't damage our prana. Our prana is the essence of who we are, so it can't be damaged. It's more that we block things, right? Imagine that you're a river, and then so your optimal health is that river flows, but then you get debris stuck in the river and it causes a dam, a little eddy where the water stagnates and putrefies. That would be akin to disease or emotional, negative emotional states. So if we can keep that flowing, and again, by keeping the breath flowing, we learn to keep this energy flowing. It can clear that and bring us back to a balanced emotional state. Roxanne, sorry you're late, that's all right. Clarissa, thank you. Aloha. 2 Clarissas in a row. Yeah. Restless leg syndrome. Yeah, same thing here. Restless leg syndrome, in my estimation, is just an imbalance of energy. Energy's been backed up, the channels, it's not flowing, and so it's like a short circuit. Have you ever watched where wires are crossed and there's like sparks, and it shorts out the the proper function of your lights or whatever. So the same thing with the restless leg. There's energy that flows through all your nerves, through the channels of your sciatica and all that. And if that energy is blocked or that energy is stagnant or whatever, it's going to cause issues. And that restless leg is one of those ways. You might get twitches in your eye. You might, start to feel anxiety or stress. So the essence of the emotional dimension is that we're striving to bring our emotions back into balance by recognizing which patterns help us feel more harmonious emotions. Another important factor is the breath helps us to release these stagnant emotions, these stored. Typically, life goes like this. We have experiences in life that were traumatic, we didn't know how to deal with, we didn't want to deal with, we just tried to avoid, and all that energy of those experiences gets stuffed in a closet of our consciousness. And we're storing all this emotional energy, and we think that we're done with it because it's gone, it's out of our conscious sight. But I often quote the psychotherapist Sigmund Freud as saying, unexpressed emotions never die. They just reemerge in darker and uglier ways. So imagine this. It's like, those stored emotions aren't like you just get off free by storing them. But imagine you got a backpack, and every new emotion that you store, it's like putting another 10-pound rock in that backpack. Pretty soon, that backpack's pretty heavy. The monkey on your back is very heavy. And then you wonder why life is such a chore. Why it's so difficult to get anything done. Why you're so tired all the time. These are the darker and uglier ways that these emotions start to come forward if we don't express them naturally. Not to mention how they can start to tweak our mental and emotional states. So that we act with idiosyncratic behaviors and or that energy builds and builds, and like a pressure cooker that's not functional, eventually the lid blows off. And we see that happen with the emotion of anger a lot. Builds, we're trying not to express it, and all of a sudden the lid blows and then something tragic happens. So that can be avoided if we use the pressure valve of our breath. Our breath is essentially pressure release valve. As the energy starts to build, we get into the breathing and we can diminish the intensity of that energy and bring ourselves back into balance. You're coming February 16th. I won't be there, Daryl, so best of luck to you when you do. Yeah, Randy let you know that. Thanks so much for sharing valuable information for preventive practices and healing. Extremely grateful. Well, thank you, Alma. So that's the emotional dimension. All right. Again, the prana, the life force energy, is activating these emotions. The general rule of thumb is if it's stagnant, if it's not moving, if it's stored and locked up, it's going to cause problems. We are a flow. Our system is flow. In fact, you think about, Star Wars has the Force. I've always thought of life as the flow. In other words, that the nature of life is that everything is in this fluid, harmonious motion. And it is when we allow ourselves to move that we are in the flow, which, the flow state where everything's going well, we feel aligned, we feel on purpose, we feel on point. When we start to stagnate, we feel out of flow, we feel out of sorts. And so it's important to work with that flow. And of course, metaphorically and literally, our flow comes to rest in our breath. Our breath is the essence of our control, or again, our harnessing of that power. That flow comes through working with the breath. And who will be carrying on the breathwork at Rythmia? I do not know, Randy, but pretty much most people who are here. David says the trick is to surrender to the flow, and that is the trick. Surrender is a huge point, which gets us into, I said full, free flow. That's really the free dimension of our breath. That we want our breath to be free, relaxed, meaning we surrender to the breath. The ultimate state in this breathing practice is what we call activation. Activation is when the breath starts breathing you. In other words, you're not putting very little effort or no effort at all, yet the breath hums along like this free energy dynamo. I watched the movie Thrive recently. Kimberly and Foster Gamble used to be partners here at Rythmia. Amazing movie. Talk about this toroidal energy shape. Energy moves in the universe throughout this toroidal shape, which shows up in the flower of life and all sorts of sacred geometry and such. But, basically, and they go into free energy devices, how they harness this pattern of energy to actually get energy from nothing. And I feel like the human energy field is a toroidal shape as well. It comes out from the heart, goes out, around, back in, and up. So as we breathe, we can focus on really harnessing into that toroidal shape. All of a sudden, it's like we initiate our own free energy dynamo within ourselves, and you can actually energize yourself out of nothing. So you can get something for nothing. You can get energy by tapping into that flow, because that flow is life itself. Hi from Toronto. Recently came across Rythmia. Thanks for sharing, learning a lot. Recently realizing you're off balance and all the physical pain I'm experiencing, such as tennis elbow and degenerating disc disease, take a toll. Yeah. So I would say get into that balance. Relax those areas. Breathe into them, and some of that pain will start to be relieved. And then as you come into balance, you realize the kind of things you're doing. I mean, for instance, again, you're eating a lot of sugar, a lot of acids in your diet. Those get in there and irritate the nerves. Sugar is a crystal. The sugar's a crystal, and as you get too much, it deposits in the joints. So imagine your joints have all these little sharp crystal-like edges. So when you move, your elbow hurts because you're actually poking, different parts of your nerves and physiology by moving. So that's why, again, it's so important to detox, to clear out this excess garbage, because otherwise it builds up and creates issues. So getting into the third dimension then, the spiritual dimension. This is, of course, my favorite dimension of the breath work. Having been a monk for 10 years, it really, coming out of the monastic life where I focused on meditation techniques, which were really modified breathing techniques, and then I saw this breathwork technique. I saw how really the breath was the vehicle and is the vehicle, no matter whether we're meditating with the breath or whether we're performing a breathwork technique. I just talked to a guy who just developed this cool little thing. It's like almost like a whistle or a flute, but it's used to breathe through. Very simple device, but its diameter and its length make you slow down the exhale to the point where it puts you into this meditative state. So I'm having them send me out some of these, and hopefully these devices will be something worth spreading to the masses here. What if breathing guides you to place in your mind that you can't have alternative state of mind, state where your sight blurs and you feel and use your body differently? You do everything differently. Do you know other persons having that? That you can't have alternative states of mind, or that you can have? It seems like you say you can't have, but then you go on to say that all these different things are going. I'd say yes, other persons have that. Anything that you think is unusual is quite common with the breath work. different sensations, different emotions, all these different things are going to come up again as energy, that you're stagnant energy, that you're breaking loose and you're working out. Now, the way I describe this is when you have these things like blurry vision, or you feel kind of weird. It's like if you've ever fasted. If you ever fasted for multiple days, like usually day 2 or 3, you feel terrible, right? You're like, why am I even fasting? I do this to feel better. Now I feel worse. Well, it's not that you feel worse, but that you're starting to cleanse, and as you cleanse, all the toxins are dumped in your bloodstream so that they can be flushed. But during that stage, you feel more toxic because all the toxins are now locked from out of the closet, and now they're apparent. You're feeling them, but that's the good news because they're on their way out. Now, the next day or 2, you feel amazing because you flushed all those toxins, and that, of course, was the purpose of your fasting. So any physiological state, any emotional state is part of this whole cleansing and purging process, and your mandate is the same no matter what. To feel it, to let it be there, but keep breathing into it, and that helps move that energy along a whole lot quicker. Heart attack, would you recommend? Marlene, you'd have to talk to our front desk. I know heart conditions, some can and some can't do the plant medicine. Of course, you can come to Rythmia and do the breath work and such, but you need to talk to our booking office, which you can call that number above, and that will help you. Hello, chilly hours. And brother, you are rocking this beautiful song. Sterling and Imagine has always been my favorite. Thank you. Played this week. I have to play in the Wednesday ceremonies. That's why we started using the guitar here to end our session. Let me get into this spiritual dimension. So, prana is ultimately this life force energy, the fine particles of spirit. And I like to think of it in this terms, that you can actually quantifiably increase your relationship to spirit by breathing more prana into this physical space. So here we are, relatively whole in the sense that we're this body, this field of energy. As we bring more prana into this field, that prana is the fundamental unit of intelligent life energy. So there's an intelligence within the prana, the intelligence of spirit, the intelligence of God, if you will. And as we bring more of that vibrational frequency, of that high frequency of intelligence, we're bringing more of that into this field. The more that frequency gets stronger, we amplify its power, the more our consciousness starts to align and magnetize to that higher frequency vibration. So in other words, we start thinking that our consciousness starts aligning with our higher self and our intuitive sensibilities, rather than aligning with our lower self and more of our egoistic sensibilities. So this is one of those illustrations of the spiritual dimension of the breath work. And what's interesting to me is many languages out there use the word for breath and the word for spirit is often very, very similar. For instance, in English, the word spirit comes from the Latin root spiritus, which means to breathe. So just in the idea that our breathing activates our spirit, the two are compatible or synonymous, essentially. And the word respiration, the act of breathing, comes from the Latin root respirare, which means to re-spirit. Okay, so if you think of that, with every breath we take, we're essentially re-spiriting our body. This gave me a really dynamic view of our relationship to spirit. I used to have a more of a stagnant view. It's like, here we are physically, here we are spiritually, a little fuzzier, larger version of us and more energetic. But here it's saying, in respiration, to re-spirit. With every breath we take, we have the opportunity to invite spirit in deeply, to have a deep, satisfying relationship with spirit, or we can just breathe shallowly and have a shallow relationship to our spirit. Now, if you've ever had a deep relationship and a shallow relationship, which one was more satisfying? I dare say the deep relationship, right? So this is what we want to keep in mind, that as we breathe in deeper, we're actually inviting more spirit into our field. We're aligning ourselves more with spirit, which means we're generally more intuitive, more creative, as this energy is the energy of creation itself, so it stimulates our own creativity. We're more in alignment with our purpose, our place on the planet, feel more comfortable and confident, and thereby acting more in alignment with, in a harmonious way, or with our, what in Sanskrit we call our dharma, which is the essence of your purpose here, your highest purpose for living. Michelle, so you are saying prana is a spiritual phenomenon we access through breath. I use breathing in my healing facilitation work. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, Michelle. So prana is essentially particles of spirit. And that's, it goes in the fundamental tenet that I've mentioned many times in my Facebook Lives. We are spirit beings having a physical experience, not physical beings having an occasional spiritual experience. So at the fundamental root of who we are spirit energy. We are this prana. So this prana condenses, it becomes a physical form, and then we run into all sorts of problems because we choose to, again, store or stagnate this energy rather than let it flow, just like that river of prana. When we are in flow, we are most harmonious and most healthy. So this is just our job, is to learn how to reignite that flow. And my whole premise here has been our breath is our fundamental tool for doing that. By getting our breath flowing, I in my business, I've used the tagline, as your breath flows, so your life flows, right? As your breath flows, so your life flows. Meaning, if your breath is stagnant, if it's stilted, if it's shallow, your life is generally going to exhibit qualities of stagnation, of stiltedness, of not flowing. Whereas if your breath is full, relaxed, and fluid, once again, your life is going to go that way. It doesn't mean that you're not necessarily going to have problems, challenges in your life, but how you deal with those challenges has much more of a flow to it, a fluid nature. It's like water going downstream. It hits a rock, bounces around it, and goes. Whereas the other way would be like a full-on dam, and now you can't get through if you're if you're breathing more in a stagnated way. That says beautiful. Thank you. You're welcome. So those are the dimensions, and as I mentioned, it is breath work itself, the power of breath work that can get you going on that. And it's as easy as somebody was asking me earlier, can I demonstrate? So real quick, full free flow, full breath. So you want to use your diaphragm, get your breath in your belly, all the way up in your chest, free, nice and relaxed. So we're not pushing it out, we're not controlling it, we're just nice and easy. Full, free, and flow. Continuous fluid breathing. Remember that stopping breathing is equivalent to stopping life. Life is this process. Life is motion. The fundamental motion of life is our breath. We stop that motion, we essentially suspend life or annihilate it. So we want to keep full, take in a lot of life, free, relaxed, and flow, continuous movement of that breath, so that we get into the flow of life, and that's where all the magic starts to happen. So As simple as that. Simple as that. Do it for about 5 minutes. I wouldn't recommend doing it more than 5 minutes at first. You'll get a little dizzy. You might even have some emotions come up. We don't want you to get too deep into it where you find yourself in territory that you're uncertain about. Nothing really dangerous can happen, but as your emotions get activated, you might just feel out of sorts. We want to have somebody to help guide you during that. You don't want to be all by yourself if you feel concerned about that at all. Can you explain how to do that? How to breathe to achieve all this? I just did, basically, hopefully that, and Amy, I just demonstrated it too. So you can also see, if you go through my archives of different Facebook Lives, I demonstrate it in a deeper fashion in various Facebook Lives. So research those. But that's basically it. The bottom line is connected, relaxed breathing. Keep your breath connected, number one priority. Connected and rhythmic, right? Meaning don't pause and keep it at a similar pace. Then start working on relaxing it. So you got this connected breath. You want to relax the breath. You don't want to put effort into it. You want the breath to start breathing you. Then you start working on breathing fuller. At first, to be relaxed, you might only breathe a certain amount of your capacity. But then you continue to breathe, start increasing your volume, and you can increase the volume but still maintain the relaxedness in your breath. All right, so thanks for this. I use the breath to activate the hara point, one of the first steps I do when I'm doing healing work. I have them breathe deep, hold, exhale. Hold, just breathe normally and deeply at times. Could you tell me how I can use breath more effectively? Hopefully what I did just explain that. And Amy, yes, 5 minutes a day to start. That's what I do. Then I get out here to Rythmia, or I'd look me up or some breath workers in your neighborhood and go have a few facilitated sessions so that you can, under guidance, you can go longer, just so, again, you don't freak out if some kind of emotional bubble comes up or some kind of trauma resurfaces. As we say here at Rythmia, what's coming is going, meaning what's coming is, what comes up for you is on its way out. We're not in the business of adding more trauma onto your plate. We're here to eradicate the trauma that's already on your plate. So I do 15 to 20 minutes a day water fast. What? 15 to 20 day water fast. How can I use the breath to help speed the detox process? Well, by doing this breath work regularly. If you can, especially good diaphragmatic breathing, it's going to stimulate those lymph nodes. It's going to process more toxins. So I would be doing this breath work regularly during your fasts. There, Shauna. Dave, I had shallow breath for a while and was experiencing anxiety. Came to find out my body was out of alignment. Since going to a chiropractor and readjusting, you can breathe deeper. Perfect. So you breathe deeper, and you can practice breathing deeper, which will also bring yourself into alignment. So chiropractor can help you. Sometimes your alignment is affecting the way you breathe. Once you get in alignment, you can breathe better. Then you want to reinforce that better breathing to keep yourself in alignment. All right? So that's that's the content for today. Let's end with a little bit of music, shall we? Since we're talking about the breath, there's a song I got that talks about the breath. Steve Gold. It's called Each Time. So. Each time I breathe a little deeper, every breath I breathe, I feel your love inside of me. And when I laugh a little louder, the joy comes over me. Well, my laughter set me free. Each time I stand a little taller, there's so much more I see. With all the gifts you've given me. And if I lose my way, to see your smiling face, it changes everything. I feel your love inside of me. I feel your love in everything. I feel your love surrounding me. I feel your love every time I breathe. Yeah, when I breathe. Each time I breathe a little deeper, a calm comes over me. Feel my breath set me free. And when I sing a little stronger, a simple melody, I start to feel my soul release. Each time I move a little closer, you're here next to me. I find the strength to still believe. And if I start to worry, your voice calls out to me, says, just let it go, let it be. I feel your love inside of me. I feel your love in everything. I feel your love surrounding me. I feel your love every time I breathe. When I breathe, I feel your love. When I sing, I feel your love. When I'm free, I feel your love. When I breathe, I feel your love. There we go. Breath. All right. Let's get in on some comments. Thank you. Yay. Thank you. Awesome. Woohoo. Flowing, swinging, singing. Joel Huffman, hello. All right, guys. Well, there you have it. Another successful Facebook Live. Any more comments? Yeah, want to say anything? Want to sign off? A few hearts, likes, all that kind of stuff. Good. So just joined in time for me to say adios. Hopefully you can catch the recording. I did sing a song at the end. And so here we go. Top of the hour. R. Christian Minson signing off. Rythmia Live. Every Friday, Breathwork Edition. I'll see you next week. Namaste.